Hello and welcome to another college-focused edition of Beyond the Technology. I'm Andrew McFadden, FA Skills Senior Consultant here at Jisc, and today you're getting more for your money as we have got two very special guests, and we're thrilled that Rob McDermott and Suzanne Galloway from Forth Valley College could both join us. So hi both, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well anyway.
I'm really well, thanks for having us.
No, I'm really pleased you could come and tell us about all things Scotland. So, first of all, if we can just have a little intro to yourselves, sort of how you got to where you are, what you do now, and what your college is like. Suzanne, I'll ask you first, if that's all right.
So, hi, I'm Suzanne Galloway. My current role here is Learning, Teaching and Quality Manager at Forth Valley College. Previous to that, I have been in the further education sector for just over 20 years, so starting off as a lecturer and then moving around different colleges across the west coast of Scotland. And then just before coming Learning, Teaching and Quality Manager, I was a curriculum manager. So I'm delighted to be at Forth Valley College as a Learning, Teaching and Quality Manager because the work sits across the organisation. So I work closely with with Rob, and we our work spans across digital, inclusive practice, quality assurance, quality enhancement. Yeah, just supporting staff, curriculum managers, and all things learning and teaching and quality assurance and enhancement.
And you, Rob?
I'm Rob McDermott. I'm Head of Quality and Teaching Enhancement at Forth Valley College. This is a new title for a long-standing role in reality. The department itself, as Suzanne has said, is far-reaching. We go from quality assurance to quality enhancement. We look at very, very much work with around about student partnership, student associations within my remit. I also look after the digital team, and that overall student experience with a really focus on how good is the college in supporting students. Historically, my background, very interesting background. I've probably been teaching and working in the FE sector since 1997. I was a communication and media lecturer. I've done various working for awarding bodies across various different colleges as well. But always been about student experience, about technology, about using technology to improve that student experience and get it right, quality share, quality enhancement.
Yeah, and could you tell me a little bit about the college that you're at as well, please?
So Forth Valley College is made up of 3 colleges. We've probably been in existence for, I think now, nearly 25 years. So as long as I've been here, it was amalgamation of 2 separate colleges. And we are now what's called a regional college in Scotland. So basically what we do is we serve our local communities. We're across 3 different colleges, very much a focus on, specialisms round about the 3 different colleges. So the Clackmannan College is quite a general college, is the smallest of the 3, and deals quite a lot with school-college partnership, but has a bit of construction, and it's a bit more general in that sense. Smaller college deals with a smaller kind of council region. In terms of Falkirk, we're very close to the Grangemouth Ineos distillery, so there's a lot of mechanical, oil and gas, electrical. We used to work very closely with some of our local engineering, where we still do work very closely with our engineering. So the focus in Falkirk is very much around about engineering and supporting those engineering, and Stirling is very much based around the creative industries, hospitality, supporting them, creative and leisure industries. That sits very closely to one of the big national parks in Scotland. So we look out onto the beautiful hills, and we see that as a kind of creative place. So what we've got is we've got 3 distinct identities across our 3 different campuses, but we've talked about this before, Andrew, we've got a shared 4th campus, and that's probably Moodle and our resource round about digital.
And just for those who are listening or watching, it's Friday afternoon when we're recording this, and we're all slightly giddy, and it looks like the technology's got hold of Suzanne. The gremlins are working there, so hopefully she can come back and join us really soon. But we'll move on to the next question, if that's okay, Rob.
Yeah, go for it.
I understand you're one of the pilots for the new tertiary quality enhancement review process. Yeah. And I'm just wondering what that means for your college, for Scottish colleges, and how did you approach this transition?
So we were very, as a quality enhancement professional, I suppose, and really engaged with that across the Scottish sector. I was involved with having those conversations round about with the QA, the Quality Assurance Association, which that basically looks at, they reflects on tertiary quality. We started off having those distinct conversations with both college and HE and FE partners round about reflecting on the student experience, how good that student experience could be, can be, and underneath certain guiding principles. Within that, there's a focus round about student experience. There's a focus about engagement, but also round about digital skills and digital development, not just for ourselves, not just for our students, but also for our staff, in order to make that student experience the best student experience that it can be. And I suppose that's the whole process has been, so we're a year and a bit down the line. It's developing on a regular basis. There's lots of reflection, but it's coming to a college. If you're in Scotland, it's coming to a college near you. And went through the process, and we're now in that, the lull afterwards. But we're still involved in our self-evaluation and action planning. And what we're also now being involved in is what's called the institutional-led quality review, which is basically a mini TQER. And that's something new for especially the FE colleges within Scotland.
And have you had any help from Jisc at all? How would...
I think one of the things is the Scottish Funding Council. So it's the Scottish Funding Council that's behind this, new reflection. It used to be, we were reviewed regularly by Education Scotland, which was Her Majesty's Inspectorate for Scotland. So it was a inspection, right? Whereas the new model is very much about peer-led reflection, evaluation, and support, and that's funded by the Scottish Funding Council. The QA manage it, but within the Scottish Funding Council, what they're also suggesting that we do is we use the Elevate tool, the tool where we can analyse and reflect on our digital competence within the organisation, both for our students and for our staff. And actually, what it's encouraging us to do is to really get a sense of where our skills are, what our skills are, and how we can then develop those skills. And the Elevate tool, along with a suite of two other tools, is helping us to get a baseline to understand and then develop that, because very much within the framework is about, again, I've mentioned it already, but that student experience and how do we make that experience the best that it can. And one of those things will be digital engagement, accessibility, and actually the Elevation tool will allow us to drill into where we are as an organisation and where our students are within that. And then next steps will be how do we then develop in that as we go forward.
And I think that's really interesting as well, because with any new processes, often they change with time too. So as this review process evolves, where do you see the opportunities, the challenges for your college and for digital transformation in general?
I think digital transformation is, I'll be honest with you, the funding is now becoming more and more of an issue in Scotland. Our learners have changed extensively. Our funding models have changed extensively. And I suppose that digital solution is something that we need to consider as we go forward to ensure that we maintain a good student experience, ensure that we engage effectively with our learners, our changing learners, and understand those learners. I think historically we've talked about digital natives. Well, I don't know if that's quite as clear as perhaps we thought about 5 or 10 years ago. Everybody who's 20 knows really how to use this. I don't know. So we need to get a sense of where those alleged digital natives are, to what degree they are digital natives, and then what we need to think about is how do we upskill them as well as upskilling our staff to meet those needs. That's not suggesting that we all do TikToks, but the suggestion is that we understand how TikToks engage with our learners, and maybe we need to be thinking about broadly beyond the things that we can do effectively within that process.
And how much is digital a key part of teaching and learning within Forth Valley College? It sounds like it's a fairly key part.
Well, we are quite proud of our VLE, even though we have went through recently a VLE review where we delved into the real, the back rooms and the dark corners But we are proud of our VLE. It is something that post-COVID has saw a massive increase in engagement roundabout. What we've done is we probably had to go back and really start thinking about what does that look like? Is it fit for purpose? Have we got accessibility right? No, we've not. We're not, but we're on a very long journey. I think that idea of, looking for units, looking for things that perhaps are, ways of teaching, collaboration, integration, project-led learning. Moodle is the platform which will allow some of that to happen, will allow things to be more successful in that sense. So Moodle sits as, I think I mentioned already on, Suzanne and I really see Moodle and the team that support Moodle as our fourth campus. It's still a little bit rickety. It still needs a wee bit of investment in it. It's never going to be a perfect one, but it's something that sits right at the heart of what we do. And from that, we need to improve on that. We have also used digital as communities of practice. We're really interested in how AI can support our learners and how AI can support our staff. I mentioned earlier on that funding's an issue. So we need to be more effective. We need to be more efficient. That's not about getting rid of lecturers. That's about making sure that those lecturers have got the skills so that their lives can be more productive, can be used, and they can use the tools effectively to ensure and maintain that student experience and make their lives a little bit easier as the world changes round about them, as we don't have access to so many resources, as class sizes perhaps change, as delivery models change. We need to make sure that they've got the digital skills and the elevation tool, that even just that simple reflection on where am I, how can I do that? And then looking for opportunities for staff to learn round about that, that's where it sits.
Welcome back, Suzanne. We were talking earlier about the Gremlins for a Friday afternoon, and obviously got you. So it's lovely that you're together with Rob there. And we were just chatting just before there about that, the resilience that you need and the adaptability and flexibility you need when digital is involved too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's definitely just experienced that right there. So flexibility, adaptability, patience, and
Patience.
But I think that idea of really making sure that it's a tool that people are comfortable with, and a tool people have got the skills to say, this isn't working, let's look for another solution. So it's not just about, a breakdown in communication. It could be, actually, I've just tried to teach you that, and actually that was a rubbish way of teaching you. So let's try this, and I've found a lovely resource to do that. And in many ways, to have the confidence that perhaps a good self-evaluation, reflection round about where your skills are with, say, PowerPoint versus, I don't know, Excel or whatever, it gives you that confidence and says, well, do you know what? I've found some really interesting things that I can do that will improve my teaching and learning. And that's where, again, we're kind of talking about the Elevate tool, we're just talking about digital competence, and the Elevate tool will help us to get to that point, to help us to get confident staff to support learners and just that teaching and learning. We've all been
Absolutely.
there. We've all been there. Some of us have probably been here a long time, and we've used paper, pen. We've looked for that solution, and digital just is another tool. But what it might do is make it more creative, more stimulating, and actually look beyond our classroom walls right the way right. And I think Moodle does that for us. It gives us an opportunity for people to go and explore and look into different things.
Excellent. And Suzanne, within your job role, we talked just earlier while we were sort of getting re-engaged in the podcast here about how the tertiary quality review process is going to evolve. What does it mean to you in your role in supporting teaching and learning within Forth Valley?
well, I think it's such a new process for us. Firstly, the tertiary project or enhancement review aligns colleges with universities. So we're getting to learn a lot about the university sector. They're working more closely together. That's one thing. But also, there's a lot of discussion about digital and what's happening in that space. So, for instance, VR, robotics, AI, and there's a lot of research happening in universities as well. So, by aligning ourselves more closely with the universities, we're creating closer partnerships in terms of what we're doing in the digital space as well, which is fantastic.
That seems really valuable if you've got those links. Yeah,
I'm a great believer that collaboration is the way forward.
absolutely.
To quote the, a famous TV program, we can't do this all on our own. We're not Supermen, but what we are is we can be good at collaborating, working together, and building those networks and building that relationships that allow us to learn, to reflect, and to develop. I mean, this is why we're here this afternoon. Is about building relationships. It's about having met and spending time together. And digital gives us that opportunity to do that, to be even more effective in that.
Absolutely. And those links with your local universities, is that going to help your students as well, sort of progressing on to higher education within local universities?
We've always had that relationship. So
Yeah.
the Scottish system is very much about articulation. So about progressing from, say, a SCQF level 7 or 8 to HNCs and HNDs, articulating into universities. But the reality is there's now a shared language, a shared understanding of what quality looks like and what a good experience is. We had this, I mentioned the SCQF level, we've had that in Scotland for a long time. And SCQF is, we work from, the colleges probably work at level 4, 5, 6, which is probably the English version are kind of level 2, 3, 4 up into degrees. And in many ways, that helps us to have that continued conversation. But the framework itself will also help that in a shared understanding. And actually, even the fact that it's a peer-led review process will allow us to learn off each other and learn, reflect, and actually be able to go, well, actually, some of the stuff they're doing is really great. Some of the stuff we're doing is really great. So let's share that. And again, let's go back to that collaborative, whether it's digital, whether it's just about student support, let's approach it to teach them out.
Excellent. So the Scottish Funding Council have got the digital elevation tool as part of regulations, I suppose. So there's one aspect that Jisc are supporting with. What else do you think Jisc could do for Scottish colleges in particular?
I mean, Jisc has been really, really supportive. Our relationship manager, Jamie, has been absolutely brilliant in bringing together people, bringing the discovery tool to us, really getting an understanding of the elevation tool. We're very much at the start of that journey. What's happening, we Jisc are supporting a sort of digital network, elevation network across Scotland, which has absolutely been fantastic. But I think we just need to be more clear about the role of the digital elevation tool in terms of the reporting for the TQER as well. So maybe support there about evaluation with digital maybe.
Yeah.
But I know that you do, Jisc do a lot for us anyway.
Yeah, I think one of the things is, one of the things I'm kind of keen on, I've already said collaboration is one of those things. How can Jisc work with us on that? So it's about self-evaluation. How good is our, I already mentioned that we did a BLE review. That was really, really helpful. And it was really, really helpful because nobody can, if somebody comes in and said, well, students are telling you that your BLE is rubbish and it's not doing this and it's not doing that, but we really like that. We already knew about that. And actually what it had been a thorough analysis and actually a robust analysis, which we were comfortable with. And that would help us. And actually, that's been included in our own self-evaluation and action plan. Some of those actions are in that, which is part of the bigger TQEF process. And that just supported us through that process and helped us with that. I think just the fact that they're at the end of the phone was always helpful. It's quite a small area in Scotland. And what we do is we're good at sharing. We're good at knowing each other and helping each other, and just sometimes sits in the middle of that. We've also got CDN, as you probably know, Andrew. So CDN and Jisc work very closely together. Yeah. And those are two trusted colleagues. Again, I'll use that, trusted colleagues. Who do we go to if we need something? We go to CDN, we go to Jisc. Yeah. Because they are trusted colleagues. And we need trusted colleagues. Because it's a different world. When we work in education, we don't work in business. We need to get educational perspective on these things.
Absolutely. And sort of drilling down into your own job roles are the things that, let's take a utopian view here, that Jisc could help you within your roles, or does that combine with what you've said already about the college in general?
So in my role, Jisc are already supporting me, I guess, because we've got, like, obviously we've got the digital teams, we've got the learning technology teams, so they're supporting us with the the BLE review, supporting us with discovery tool that we're using for staff. We've got support for the elevation tool. In my role specifically, maybe it would be really good to sort of have a shared understanding through Scotland about AI and assessment. There's a lot of conversation about that just now. And obviously, as colleges, we are aligned with awarding bodies. So maybe there's a conversation that has to happen with SQA. Are doing a lot of research as well, but maybe just and SQA could come together and there could be more of a college awarding board discussion about AI assessment, and maybe does assessment need to change now in a changing world, and what the employers need. We're moving now into if AI is going to automate quite a lot of things, what are the skills that we're actually assessing that are going to be used?
No, absolutely. No,
So that conversation would be really helpful.
so there is, that's a really good point. So there is back tension on us. We need to meet the requirements of our employers, but we also need to meet the requirements of our awarding bodies. And actually, if there's issues, and we can speak to one or two, or we work with the awarding bodies, but it really helps if we've got some person who's working again with them. Again, collaboration. It's all about collaboration, and all of us working together. We're all in the same boat. We're all looking for the same thing. If we join up and really work closely together, we're far more effective as a collective than we are if I go to Jamie or go to Jisc for one thing, go to CDN for another thing, then go to SQA and they say, I don't listen to Jisc, or don't listen to CDN.
Yeah.
We have to be joined up so that we're all speaking. And again, I'm going to go back to this idea that we are in education and we need to be consistent with that, because that's how we're going to be effective, because we have to be many things to many people. But we need to understand what those many things are, and we all need to be the same. And that's I know that sounds a bit daft, but we have to be consistent and respond to the things around about it. And as a body, I would say Jisc are part of that conversation.
It's interesting you talk about awarding bodies, because I've had some similar conversations from other people south of the border saying they would really like awarding bodies to be a bit more agile and discuss assessment, especially with the advent of AI now. And
Yes.
I think it's a really important task for them to work with colleges around the United Kingdom to get these things sorted out.
I think it's very interesting. The universities have got their own awarding body, so they can be agile, they can reflect. So what you're seeing is a change in their approaches to assessment. They're moving away from closed book, they're moving away from exams, they're more project based, they're group work, etc., etc. All the things that for me as an educationist go, wow, superb, that's absolutely brilliant. The problem is the awarding bodies are glacial in that sense. They're glacial because it takes a lot of money, and for them to change, it takes a long time. And the problem is we have to meet the requirements of the awarding body, rather than go, I'll tell you what, we'll do that, because if we do that and doesn't meet their requirements, we're moving away from a national standard, and that's their job. Their job is to maintain that national standard. So there's always a bit of tension. Whereas the universities themselves, we're seeing some really interesting stuff coming through from universities, but that's because they've got their own award body status. So round about AI, they are struggling round about AI, so they've had to change things. We can't do that as much as they can.
Not as quickly.
Not as quickly, certainly not.
So I suppose the key message of the whole of this chat has been collaboration is key, and working together to get that sorted out. Thank you so much, Rob and Suzanne, for joining us this afternoon. I really appreciate that. Really interesting to get a flavour of what's going on in Scotland as opposed to what I more regularly see, I suppose, in England. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Bye, Rob.
Bye now.